our best to not let that be our story. We do not let that define us. We use that as fuel to drive toward that extraordinary life. You know, we've lost 3 brothers to drugs and alcohol. I had a severe anxiety disorder it's an interesting story. So we were partying like rock stars during that time of our life. We had a big meeting in Los Angeles, and we went out there, and the night before we just partied all night, stayed up late. I woke up and my breakfast was 3 aspirin and 3 cups of coffee. And, you know, I went into this boardroom, and basically what happened, Vishen, is I had a panic attack while I was opening this board meeting, and it was horrible. I mean, I'd never had a panic attack before. If you've never had one, it's like you completely lose control of yourself. It feels like there's a freight train running through your head. It's absolutely horrifying. And so it was just this terrible experience. I didn't know what was happening. I had to sit down. It was humiliating. And I remember coming back to the hotel after that experience and saying to Miss, telling her what happened, Miss, this happened. What the hell just happened to me? What is that? And of course, the panic disorder runs in our family, so we were familiar with it.
Yeah, we started investigating, you know, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Duh, of course it was because we stayed up all night and, you know, we were drinking and acting crazy, and then you got up, not enough sleep.
In a stressful situation.
In a stressful situation. And so then we started, it was, okay, this was a wake-up call, a serious wake-up call. So it's time to really figure out what's going on. So we went to a psychiatrist because we talked to the rest of his family. We knew his brothers were struggling from anxiety. We realized, okay, this is a family issue. John went to the same psychiatrist his brother went to. And the first thing the doctor said is, here, I can just prescribe some medication for you.
That was a panic attack. Here's, you know, I can give you tranquilizers. Well, I refused to go down that path because I could already see the devastation that it was having on my younger brother, and it did not look like it was leading to a good place. And what happened was my father actually thought that it would help to buy me a couple personal development programs. I'd never listened to personal development before, but he gave me these 2 programs. One of them was specifically on anxiety, which really helped me. And I listened to these 2 programs and I said, this is the way out, to work on myself, to examine myself. This is an internal issue that I've got to solve here before it can express outward. So that's the path that we decided to take. And eventually my brother died from all that medication and drugs and alcohol.
And another brother died from self-medicating. And then I lost a brother to self-medicating.
We've had our share of pain and suffering like everybody else, but Vishen, that's not our story. That's not what defines our life. What defines our life is what we did when we encountered that pain and suffering. And what that was we decided, we looked around us and we didn't like what we saw. We didn't like, most people aren't happy. Most people are not successful or balanced or fulfilled. And we didn't want to go down that path. So we decided to create a life that was uniquely ours, according to our own standards and values. One that we design, that we're passionate about, that we want to live. We had what we call a respectful disregard for how anyone else chooses to live their life in any category. We're going to look at what you do, we're going to look at best practices, and we're going to ask and that's cool for you, but when it comes to us, we ask ourselves, does that make sense to us? Does that work for us? Is that something that we want to integrate into this beautiful masterpiece that we're creating together? And if the answer is yes, we welcome it in. If the answer is no, we say no thank you and good luck. And we really mean that. It's a respectful disregard. We've gone there in every category of our lives. For most couples, the spark goes out very, very quickly. Not here. It's not happening. We're going to put systems and processes in place to guarantee our love connection will never go out. Most adults gain a pound a year and end up well overweight. We're not running that program. That doesn't work for us. That's not something that we want to bring into this beautiful masterpiece we're creating together. Most parents abdicate the education of their children to the government. We're not doing that. We're on a different program. We're going to find our own unique way of doing that. And we've done that across every category of our lives.
Yeah, and it's simply bringing a higher level of consciousness to what's going on around you. And a mindfulness of, how does this affect me? How does this resonate with my own values and my own standards? And that's what happened, and that's how Lifebook was born.
Wow. Life took away 3 brothers between the 2 of you. Mm-hmm. And you guys knew that if you went down that same path, you may not survive. And it's almost as if the universe was like setting you up on a different path so that you could create this life for yourself and then use this life to inspire millions of people. True Life Book.
We feel very, very blessed that is exactly how it went.
That's right.
Very grateful.
Very blessed. And I will say this, because that's a beautiful thing you just said. We look at obstacles and suffering and troubles and problems now from a very different angle. When we look back on all the things that did happen to us, the things that came from those tragedies and those sufferings, because of the way we turned it to serve our own values, it was a blessing. It was a gift. So now we look at challenges as, okay, what is this going to teach us? How are we going to make ourselves even more skillful, even more, turned on, more conscious? Because like John said in the beginning, suffering and troubles and challenges are a part of the human condition. That's what makes us stronger.
The reason that we want to make Lifebook available to as many people as possible is because we think that this really could change the world. And that's not just lip service. The only way that the change is going to happen, it seems like the flavor of the moment is force others to be the change you want to see in the world. But it's truly the Gandhi quote, you've got to become the change that you want to see. And Lifebook is a mechanism by which to get there. It's an empty system that you fill up with your own values, and so that you can step into that role of really becoming the change that you want to see. And that's what we need. It's the only, governments will never fix it, corporations will never fix it, institutions will never fix it, groups will never fix it. It's an individual thing.
But I will say this, because we lost 3 brothers, and we could not help them, we didn't know what to do at the time, and we tried different things with all 3 of them, and it's come to our attention, or it makes sense that really the only way that you can truly help another person is show them how to help themselves, how to completely turn this thing on inside of them that makes them understand that they really are in control, that they really can do this. And not only that, they're made for it. Each and every one of us is built specifically for our own life, and we are able and we can do it. So just teaching people that it's a possibility.
The only sustainable way to truly help other people is by turning them on so that they can help themselves. The only sustainable way.
Just like everyone has a fingerprint. Everyone has a soul print.
So true.
That's it.
And Lifebook is helping you get in touch with that reason you were born.
That's right.
That's it.
And society does its best to help you forget that
Yes.
reason.
So true, Bishop.
That's right. And
So
beat you down. And anytime you're outside the norm, you're gonna get badgered, you're gonna get rotten tomatoes thrown at you, you're gonna have bad words. That's the nature of the game.
Yeah.
That's the nature of what this is. And if more of us get outside that box, then there'll be less inside of our tomatoes.
That's true.
I mean,
But what Lifebook does is Lifebook helps you develop a sense of your highest self, a very well clarified sense of your highest self. That's at the end of the program. That's what you get. This clear vision of the person that you could become, and then you can start to move toward that vision with intention every single day. And that's the beauty of this process. That's why it worked so beautiful for us, and why it's worked for so many other thousands of people. If your goal is to create an extraordinary life that works at a high level in every important area, the first thing you have to know is what that looks like, because you will never achieve that unless you know what it is that you're moving toward. So we call that creating your life vision. And how we do it at Lifebook, how Missy and I have done this over the last 30 years, the first thing that we did is we asked ourselves, if we want a truly extraordinary life, what are the areas of life that we really have to master? We really have to learn how to just crush every single day, and then we're going to be living that beautiful life. So we identified 12 areas of life that we focused on over the years. You know most of them, your health and fitness, your financial life, your career, but there's a few unexpected ones in there too. So the way to create a life vision at the level that we do, which is like so detailed and so compelling, something that you're so passionate about that it becomes a North Star that pulls you forward, is to ask yourself deeply, what do I want in each of these areas of my life? Not what society tells me I should want, my parents, my teachers, my preachers. What do I really want deep down inside?
The first step is really to get conscious of who you are. So there's a process of self-discovery.
Right.
And you ask these series of questions to yourself, and you discover who you are and what you believe and what your values are. And over time, you start uncovering your own values and your own beliefs. And that is what your life vision will be based on.
Exactly. It basically is a way for you to get in touch with what your highest self would look like. That's what you do through this process. So now you've got a crystal clear vision of your highest self and your very best life. That's step number one. So the way to create that crystal clear life vision that will just pull you forward into the extraordinary life that you want to create is to take a look at the 12 fitness. You are in charge of your health and fitness, nobody else. Second one is your intellectual life. It's about thinking, which is basically our primary tool of survival as human beings. The third category is your emotional life. Super powerful one. It's a super good one to get detailed in that category because that controls so much of the quality of your experience on this planet. The fourth category is your character. That's where you really define what kind of a person you want to become, what your life is all about, what the meaning of your life is. And the fifth personal life category is your spiritual life. We've all got some experience with that category, and that's a deep one.
And then we move on to your relationships.
Right.
And the first one is your significant other or your love relationship, very important to happiness and longevity. Parenting, either your own parenting with your own children or your own parents. The third one is your social life. And then it goes on into your business life, which is your financial life and your career.
So the 11th category is your quality of life. And this is where we explore the things that you want in your life, the environments that you're surrounded by, your home, your office, and the experiences that you want in your life. So this is where world travel. This is the fun category. It's like the reward for all the hard work you do. Those 11 categories, defining clearly what you want in each of them, all add up to the 12th category, which is called your life vision. It's where everything comes together. So when you take a look at your life vision category, you can see what you want in every important area of your life. That becomes your North Star, so that all the decisions you make support that beautiful vision that you've created.
And the way that you discover your life vision is by asking yourself a few questions in each one of these categories. And the first one is, what do you really believe? What do you believe in this category? What do you believe is true for yourself, not for anybody else, not for society, not for Vision, not for John and Missy, for you, not for anyone else. And the next one is of your own self in that category. The third one is, if that's what you believe and that's what you want, why? Why do you want that? So you have to answer that question. And then the last one is, if you want all that stuff, you believe all that stuff, what are you going to do in your life today to make that a reality and make that your real life? So we really dig in deep and do a lot of self-discovery because a lot of people don't even know what they believe or where they're beginning from. And that's a key component to
It's
this.
an incredible path to self-discovery. So it's pretty simple. The process is simple. It's not easy. There's a difference. It's simple. It doesn't have a lot of moving parts. 12 categories, we ask ourselves the same 4 questions. What do I believe? What do I want? Why do I want it? And what do I need to do to get it? That little system, which takes 6 weeks to do in our online course, deep thinking, you will have profound realizations that will change your life just based on that work, just based on getting clear. It's a transformative process.
And just understanding the idea of these 12 categories is a game changer
That's
for
right.
so many people. Because how many of us realize that we should be setting goals for our emotional states? The world just doesn't teach you that, or that we need to be setting goals for our love life, or our parenting life, or even our character.
Exactly.
We don't get that. I mean, when I took Lifebook, it fundamentally changed how I felt every morning when I woke up. Because I now have lists and goals and visions and a way to get there
Yep.
for the persistent emotional states of bliss and joy and happiness I wanted to experience on a day-to-day basis. I was just never educated that you need to commit to that on paper.
Yeah.
And so that's why Lifebook was so transformative for me. Now, one of the most interesting things, folks, is when you set your visions in these 12 categories, there's a beautiful synchronicity that starts to happen.
That's exactly right.
I remember I wrote down things that came straight from my soul. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to be on stage. Back then, I wasn't speaking. I wanted to have inspiring friends from across the world. I wanted to be able, I don't even know where this came from, but I wrote, I wanted to toss parties in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and invite all my friends over. And
Amazing.
when I wrote that down, when I took Lifebook in 2009 in Chicago, over 4 days with you guys, I had no idea how to get there. Within 1 year, magic entered my life. Synchronicity started flowing. And I ended up starting a festival called A-Fest. And before I knew it, I was literally tossing parties in Croatia, in the Caribbean. I had world-class speakers coming and sharing the stage with me. I had amazing entrepreneurs from all around the world attending my events. A-Fest became this huge transformational festival. That when I look at what I wrote in my life book, and what I'm showing here is the actual text from my 2009-2010 life book, you can see how all the dots connected.
Yeah.
What I learned, John, is that there is a magic to this process.
Right.
There's something you cannot explain
Well,
that happens. And when I hear you explain this, it always brings to mind this quote from Terence McKenna. I'd like to read this quote for all of you. So yes, it's 12 categories. It's 4 questions in every category. But know that when you take Lifebook, you go really deep. You go through an investigation of these 4 categories over 4 days if you take the seminar, over 6 weeks, a few hours every week if you do it online. And this is what McKenna says, which seems to explain the magic that's happening below the surface. Nature loves courage. You make the commitment and nature will respond to that commitment by removing impossible obstacles. Teachers and philosophers who really counted, who really touched the alchemical goal, this is what they understood. This is the shamanic dance in the waterfall. This is how magic is done. By hurling yourself into the abyss and discovering it's a featherbed.
Wow, that's so well said. Yeah, I want to clap. That's like the best quote to just...
Yeah, Terence McKenna
but
is
you
the
know,
man.
I'll tell you,
Wow.
one of the things that Lifebook does is it flips everything upside down. So we were talking earlier about how some people have success in 1 or 2 areas of life, and often the career goals you set can completely derail your love relationship or derail your health and fitness. So there tends to be if you don't have a life vision to hold everything up to, there tends to be a tension between these goals. Whereas when you go through Lifebook, we have a saying, a win anywhere is a win everywhere. Every single time that you crush a category, what you realize is, my career will be better if my health and fitness is better. Literally, I have to get my health and fitness up to a certain level in order to have the best career. How's my career going to be better? If I have a hosed up love relationship where I dread seeing my spouse every evening, or if I have an incredible, supportive, passionate love relationship, these categories start to support each other, and this positive spiral begins to have your life vision in place. You've got your North Star. You know exactly where you're going. Now what we help you do is we help you put in place a structured rhythm of goal setting and goal accomplishment against that life vision. See, what's wrong with goals vision?
This life that I wanted, inevitable.
That's 100% right.
Now, what's the third pillar?
The third pillar is very interesting. We take a good look at your habits, your small daily choices and actions. As a matter of fact, it's so important to us that we call these your 12 sacred choices. What are the 12 small daily behaviors that you're going to commit to that are most aligned with that life vision, that are going to turn you into the person that you want to become? And how important is that?
Oh my gosh. So pillar number 3 is where the rubber hits the road.
That's right.
It's where you take daily action. And we all know that the only time action happens is in this continuous present moment that we're in. Well, first, backing up, lighting your goals with your habits is an amazing game changer. But what we're doing here, if you could kind of already see, is we're aligning everything and we're integrating the work that you did in all those 12 categories, and we're now integrating it into your daily life so that you actually are taking small mini steps. Just like Vision said, it's an amazing experience and it's profound, and that's where action really happens.
That's right.
Isn't it?
That's where you start to make real progress
Yeah.
toward your life vision.
So what's the fourth pillar?
The fourth pillar is we wrap an accountability system around all that. We track it, we measure it, we make sure that you're making meaningful progress toward your life vision, and we wrap an accountability system around it where you are responsible to your peers for doing what you said you were going to do. Now, there's a lot of research on this. When you say to yourself, I want to achieve this goal, it usually gets you a certain result. When you commit to other people, I am going to achieve this goal, and I'm going to show up Wednesday at 7 o'clock and tell you whether I did or didn't, results go through the roof. So we wrap an accountability system around it. And the thing about this process, if you get crystal clear on your life vision, and then if you align your goal setting, your habit tracking with that life vision, and wrap accountability around it, you literally cannot fail to make measurable, meaningful progress toward that life vision every week, every month.